What's up, fight fans, and welcome back to Minseo MMA. Today, we're diving into one of the most fun debates in all of combat sports. We're not talking about the greatest performances. We're not talking about the most dominant victories. Instead, we're looking at something completely different. The performances that created legends. The fights that defined careers. The moments that fans still remember years later. Some of these fighters won championships. Some shocked the world. And some delivered legendary performances even in defeat. From Alexander Volkanovski and Petr Yan to Khamzat Chimaev and Max Holloway, let's break down the three most iconic performances of some of MMA's biggest stars. Alexander Volkanovski. The fight that turned a champion into a legend. When people think about Alexander Volkanovski, many immediately think about the Max Holloway trilogy. But for me, his most iconic performance came against Brian Ortega. At the time, Volkanovski was still dealing with criticism following the Holloway rematch. Many fans believed he shouldn't even be champion. Then came UFC 266. For most of the fight, Volkanovski was putting on a masterclass. But then came the moment everyone remembers. The mounted guillotine. The entire MMA world thought it was over. The commentators thought it was over. The fans thought it was over. Brian Ortega thought it was over. Yet somehow, Volkanovski escaped. And not only did he survive, he came back and dominated Ortega even harder. That wasn't just skill. That wasn't just technique. That was heart. That was grit. That was the moment Alexander Volkanovski became Alexander the Great. Ending the Holloway debate forever. The second spot belongs to the third Max Holloway fight. This wasn't just another title defense. This was a statement. Volkanovski completely neutralized one of the greatest featherweights in UFC history. His striking was sharper. His timing was better. His game plan was flawless. By the time the final bell sounded, there was no controversy left. The debate was over. Volkanovski was officially the king of the featherweight division. The loss that elevated his legacy. Sometimes a loss becomes one of the defining moments of a fighter's career. That's exactly what happened against Islam Makhachev. Almost everyone expected Volkanovski to get overwhelmed. Instead, he pushed Islam harder than anyone anticipated. He survived the grappling. He competed on the feet. And he finished the fight marching forward. Even though he didn't get his hand raised, fans walked away more impressed with Volkanovski than ever before. That's why this remains one of the most iconic performances of his career. Petr Yan. The night Petr Yan became champion. For Petr Yan, it has to be Jose Aldo. This fight showcased everything that makes Yan special: patience, precision, pressure. For several rounds, Aldo was holding his own. Then the momentum shifted. Yan started attacking the body. He increased the pace. And slowly but surely, he began breaking one of the greatest champions the sport has ever seen. By the championship rounds, Yan looked unstoppable. The pressure became overwhelming. The strikes kept coming. And eventually, the referee stepped in. It was brutal. It was technical. And it announced Petr Yan as one of the most dangerous fighters in the sport. A striking clinic against Corey Sandhagen. Yan's second most iconic performance came against Corey Sandhagen. This was elite striking at its absolute best. Every exchange felt meaningful. Every movement had purpose. Then came the highlight reel moments. The spinning attacks. The knockdowns. The creativity. This fight showed just how complete Petr Yan truly is. Dominating before disaster struck. The first Aljamain Sterling fight will always be remembered for one reason: the illegal knee. But before that moment happened, Yan was taking over. Stuffing takedowns. Landing cleaner shots. Taking Aljamain down repeatedly. And completely shifting momentum. The ending was unfortunate. But the performance itself remains one of the most impressive displays of Yan's career. Khamzat Chimaev. The night MMA met its boogeyman. If there's one performance that perfectly captures Khamzat Chimaev's aura, it's Li Jingliang. The fight starts. Khamzat sprints across the cage. Takes Li down instantly. Picks him up. Carries him across the octagon. Drops him. Controls him. Submits him. And barely absorbs any damage. It looked unreal. At that moment, many fans genuinely believed Khamzat might be unbeatable. The aura surrounding him after this fight was unlike anything we'd seen in years. The war that proved he was human. Against Gilbert Burns, things were different. For the first time, Khamzat faced real adversity. For the first time, he was pushed to his limits. For the first time, fans saw him bleed. The fight instantly became a classic. Not because Khamzat dominated, but because he showed he could survive a war. Silencing doubts against Robert Whittaker. Many believe Robert Whittaker would be Khamzat's toughest challenge. A former champion. Elite takedown defense. Elite experience. Then Khamzat submitted him in the opening round. It wasn't as shocking as the Li Jingliang performance. But considering the level of opponent, it deserves a place among his most iconic victories. Max Holloway. The greatest striking showcase ever? If we're talking about Max Holloway's most iconic performance, it's Calvin Kattar. This wasn't just a victory. It was a masterpiece. Holloway broke striking records, landed combinations from impossible angles, and somehow got stronger as the fight went on. By the later rounds, fans weren't asking who was winning. They were asking how Calvin Kattar was still standing. Then came the legendary line, "I'm the best boxer in the UFC, baby." One of the greatest moments in UFC history. The UFC 300 knockout we'll never forget. At UFC 300, Max Holloway delivered one of the greatest knockouts ever seen. With seconds remaining, he pointed to the center of the cage. He invited Justin Gaethje into a firefight. And then he landed a buzzer-beating knockout that instantly became legendary. It wasn't just a win. It was a moment that will live forever in UFC history. The performance that started the legend. Before Calvin Kattar. Before Justin Gaethje. There was Brian Ortega. This was Holloway's first true masterpiece. The performance that announced to the world that he was special. The volume. The pressure. The accuracy. The confidence. Everything clicked. And it helped create the version of Max Holloway that fans know and love today. And that's all we've got for today's video on the most iconic performances in UFC history. From Volkanovski surviving the impossible against Brian Ortega, to Khamzat Chimaev looking like a real-life supervillain against Li Jingliang, to Max Holloway delivering one of the greatest striking performances we've ever seen, these are the moments that help define legends. But now I want to hear from you. Which fighter do you think has the most iconic performance in UFC history? Did we get Volkanovski's #1 pick right? And which performance would you add to this list? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to Minseo MMA, and turn on notifications so you never miss any future MMA content. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.